Good morning and happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Silly Girls, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. It's me. It's been a hot week. It has been a scorcher of a week. I hope you're staying hydrated. I hope you're staying cool because the ocean is frigid. I took myself to the beach last week for a little book reading time, and the water is cold, the sand is hot. It is not the combo we expected this summer. For all my friends who are working outside this summer, God bless. I hope you're not in black. I worked for a floral event business for almost a decade of my life. I hate summer weddings with a burning passion. I think they're beautiful. I think they're great. If I want warm weather, I'd probably do the same. But take it from me, if you're not getting married on a private beach and you want that beach wedding, save it for post-beach season. Why are you trying to tease me with the ocean and the sand while I'm setting up your flowers? And there's always going to be somebody sitting right behind your arch, probably in a Speedo. It's like they sense it. They sense a wedding is happening. They put on their tiniest little bikini. That's not who we want to see in a bikini. Power to them, but still. You don't want that in your photos. We can only Photoshop so much. I'm listing off different jobs as we go because that's the theme of today's episode. Get a job. But at the same time, I know it's hard to get a job. And at the same time, the first step is, what kind of job do you want? This has been the chitter chatter lately. Everyone's always, Rachel, what should I do? Rachel, where should I go? Rachel, why'd you become a therapist? My friend. I became a therapist because people talk to me all the time. Might as well get paid for it. It's my strength. We'll get into it. But even when I work in my demographic, the majority of my clients are teens or college students, young adults. There's still this sense of, who are we? What do we like? What do we want to do? But there's also that other aspect of, well, how much do you know? Because a lot of people pretend that we know everything. And I say we because we've all been there. We've all done that. Make it human. But we only know so much based on what we're exposed to and so forth. If some of you follow my private social media account, I made a little post and it went, adults are amazed with how kids desperately want to be online influencers. I ask, didn't your grandmother only want to be a housewife? We all want what we only see. Bring back Michael Rowe in the show Dirty Jobs. Most of you need to see what real jobs are on top of our side hustle of influencing each other. And because I'm sassy, my bottom quote was, stop shitting on kids. You're just as shitty. And that's to my adults, me included. Stop being a shitty adult. Being less shitty and helping yourself so you can help kids not turn out shitty. It's so practical. I have parents and adults and young adults. I get it. There's curiosity with what kids are doing, and maybe I'm tickling a feeling. Maybe it's even just jealousy that they could have fun on the internet and you're just not having that much fun like you used to. There's normal jealousy we can have towards young kids, but my friend, we are all doing the same thing at the same time at different levels, just based on skill set. So when I'm talking with these young adults and they're in their own thoughts, young teens in their own thoughts of, what do I want to do this summer? Majority of my teeny beans are not in school. They're maybe in a summer program. Maybe they have a summer job. Maybe they're just taking the summer off. But we've all talked about, what are you going to do for your routine? Because even in my job, there's different seasons. I call it hustle periods, where stress is high, workload is high, and it feels like you're drowning. These moments happen for whatever reason, as you're preparing for a test, preparing for a final, preparing for a promotion, preparing for a change. Changes are inevitable. So when we're preparing for these moments of, what do I want to do next, because an ending is coming, we all panic. And that's okay. Be scared. It shows us that we're alive. But work with your scared. Some of us grew up with Discovery Channel's Dirty Jobs, watching Mike Rowe. And I love that show because although it brought humor into some really disgusting jobs, my partner and I were talking about this yesterday. If certain quote unquote dirty jobs disappear, we lose as a community, as a culture, as an environment, because plumbers are important. Garbage people are important. Recycling people are important. Electricians are important. These are trades. Trades keep the community going. And some of us fall into those trades just based on skill set, because we like to work with our hands, because we feel more accomplished doing things at our own pace, for whatever reason. You can work within a company, you can have your own business, you can work by contract. There's options. I think that's what's so exciting, but also so intimidating when it comes to what kind of career do you want? Some of us pick an academic career, some of us pick a trade, but some of us also just work to finance really, what we enjoy. I have plenty of friends who travel. I have plenty of friends who love camping. I have plenty of friends who love to do off the grid shit, but even though that's their passion, they still work their job that helps finance their passion with hope that their passion becomes their full time one day, whether that's a job or whether it's just something in retirement. That's also a job option. I think it's still so normal and not talked about as usual, because these are my silly thoughts, that nobody romanticizes the desk job. Nobody highlights the school janitor all the time. Like, these are such humble jobs that everyday people have, and we are everyday people together. But people are judging young kids for wanting to be influencers as if we didn't have our own modeling phase on Tumblr or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube days, or like we've all done it. We've all done it. I'm sitting here posting right now on YouTube and Spotify. Like, what the hell, you guys? Adults are such hypocrites and so judgmental, and I think it really just comes from a place of jealousy and judgment, because you were there too. And to my teen beans who are like, yeah, Rachel, stick it to the adults. To my seniors, stop making fun of the freshmen. To the freshmen, stop hating on eighth graders. What the hell are you guys doing? My little silly gooses, all of you. With this idea of influencing, I reflected last night with who the hell influenced me. I think about music, I think about YouTube days, I think about all the Lifetime vloggers that I would follow along with, but a lot of them were going outside and doing stuff on top of whatever their niche was. We would watch them work out and then make a meal. We would watch people cook. We'd watch people travel. We'd watch people go shopping. We'd watch people with their family. We were watching people live. That's what social media really feels like. It's just everyone's diary where you're posting what you like, what you're interested in, your hobbies, your career, your personality. But at the end of the day, everyone's life is so different. Do you ever think about that? We all have our own stories. We all have our own choices. We all have our own relationships. We all have our own path. And even though it feels like a team effort, I think we've talked about this, when you're in elementary school working together and following through high school, but college creates some awareness to the differences of people. For my young adults, and even when I reflect back to my thoughts, I chose to be a therapist just because of my experiences. There's that joke of, are you a therapist to help others or to help yourself? Both, I guess. I'm a product from my environment. I came from a very emotional, I don't want to say emotional family, but just a family that had big emotions. And I'm a sensitive person. People come up to me with their feelings all the time. People talk to me every moment, randomly. Grocery stores, family parties that aren't even with my own family. It's always someone's uncle, dad, or brother. It's always at a dessert table. It really is. No hate. I guess I just give off that vibe to say, tell me your life story. But I also enjoy a little bit of gossip. Of course I'm curious, nosy. I'm Hispanic. I was raised by a Spanish woman. I want to know what's going on. I want to know where you're from. I want to know what you do. I kind of sat down with myself yesterday and I was just reflecting on my own path to get where I am, career job wise, and all the jobs in between. I grew up in a normal, small Jersey town, and I thought I had like a normal childhood like everybody else. We all just went to school. You'd have your quote unquote career day in elementary school, and you saw the teacher, the police officer, the firefighter, the technician, the physical trainer. Like, you were exposed to people in your community. And over time, again, your interests grow and maybe they're supported by your parents. My parents would always offer me the opportunity to take classes, and they were within the community, within our resources, within our budget. I wasn't able to join the dance team, but I took a summer little ballet lesson. I've taken cake decorating on a Saturday. I've done cooking and baking and sewing, and maybe these are just quote unquote girly skills. But I would see my mom cook. I would see my mom sew. I'm following with what I know. Again, we're watching people online. Our young adults are watching people online. Are they truly living? Or are we just watching people post consistently their makeup, their travel, their money spending, things that are very unreachable to the average person? None of us are a part of the 1%, I would assume. If you are, congrats, God bless. But like, bitch, not me. Not me. Silly thought. I miss people who can separate, what we watch, our reality TV and our YouTube people, and understand that we can relate to them to a point. There's something that helps us watch them, whether it's for entertainment, whether it's we connect over a similar interest, or we're just trying to learn more into the niche, watching fitness people, fashion people. But the internet has given this idea that we are these people, that we're all the same. And I understand this pro side of kind of breaking down a celebrity hierarchy, but then there's the con side with this idea that we're all the same when we obviously do not have the same bank accounts or the same type of influencing or the same type of following. We're different. And if we're all influencing the same stuff, that's pretty freaking boring. So then people push those limits to see how extreme it can be, and it's just so overwhelming. It's just a mess. It's a mess. So when we're watching everyday real people bring back the career day, bring back parents talking about their jobs, but it's also looking at adults and saying, go get a real job. I sit here and do this silly little podcast because this is my silly little hobby. If it grows into something, that's great. But I guess I'm just a realist to say I've worked a bunch of silly little jobs to help pay for what I want to do. I don't look at this as my job. What money is coming in from this? Nothing. My money comes in from things that I do, side hustles, connections, contracting, full-time. I have it all. There was a point in my life I had 5 jobs. I'm crazy. I'm trying not to have 5 jobs now as I get older, but looking at some people my age, if not older, do nothing. But then sit here with a handout, give me, give me, give me, want. I expect, that's nice. I love that expectation for you. Does it fill your belly? Because there's a point where there are minimal jobs to choose from, but then there's a point where you don't try. In our control, out of our control. In our control to put ourselves out there, talk to people, connect with people, think about what you're willing to do. You're watching everyday people with everyday jobs, and adults start the momentum, because if you want children to start seeing and doing, you have to show them. So as an adult, I've told young adults what kind of jobs I've had in the past, and I feel like they're pretty normal, but maybe, again, are we being influenced by online ideas of what a job really is? This idea of how much I need to make, how much I need to have, where I need to go. We're talking business. And business changes based on the environment. And again, be mindful of your money, know your worth, but know what you're asking for and from whom. My first job was a little junior camp counselor. I did not get paid. This was a program within our park system that helped young adults build work experience. That sounds so silly. Here I am, 13, working as a junior camp counselor, maybe 12, and I'm not making any sort of money. I'm just participating and learning like camp kids. But that's the reality. I almost find it in awe that young adults are getting paid for what they're doing. And maybe it's because I'm from a different generation. Not that I'm supporting child labor laws. But like, I'm from the generation where you started babysitting and you get paid under the table. I'm from a generation where you worked at the pizza spot when you were a young kid doing deliveries or cleaning up or waitressing, and like anything, it's the American way. You got paid under the table. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong, it just is what it is. So I started working as a junior camp counselor, babysitter, my town's library, and then on top of being a like book checker, I was working with my aunt and also babysitting. My aunt owns the floral business I talk about. Every weekend I was gone from like once I graduated high school and I was in college, I was at her house from Thursday to Sunday almost every weekend. High seasons in the fall, in the summer, a little bit of spring. Winter, it's kind of hit or miss. And that's when I was in school anyway, so who cares? What helped me like build this motivation to do this stuff? Money. You're a silly dumb kid. You cannot tell me that you as a silly dumb kid wasn't like, I can't wait to have money so I can buy what I want. There's so much empowerment to that, to have what you want. So when young kids are reaching for this idea of, well, if my parents aren't going to give it to me, I'm going to get it myself, I think that's a normal thought that we've all had. My parents gave me what I needed, but if I wanted something fancy, that was on me. I was working these little jobs, saving up my little money. I bought my first Nintendo DS, and you bet your ass it was pink. Should have been purple. But silly thought, that's teaching young people finances. We don't talk about finances enough. We don't talk about the balance of it. We don't talk about savings. We don't talk about, bills. We don't normalize those conversations. And again, you're an adult. If you don't get over your whatever those feelings are, jealousy, animosity, insecurity, you can talk about these topics vaguely. My parents didn't give me numbers. They weren't like, well, you should feel guilty or this or that way for us spending X amount. It's awareness. It's, hey, we paid for X, Y, and Z this week, so we have to pull back from this type of luxury. And it just is what it is. Because we all have priorities. Shelter, food, clothes on your back. These are your priorities. But when luxuries come into play, things that are wanted but not necessary, I was held accountable. And what did I buy? Clothes. I was so excited to buy clothes. I'm a girly girl, all right? Give me my moment. I bought clothes. I bought tech, my DS, my first iPod. Like, there was something so exciting about that. My money didn't become serious until I was in college, and that's when I was living on $20 a week. Because you budget. A lot of parents, and maybe I'm just talking. Keep in mind, I was raised by a first-gen American mom and a dad from the Depression era, or parents from the Depression era. I can't do the time in my head right now. It's too early. But I would say my dad just raised us with a sense of boundaries in terms of finances. And my mom showed us fun in ways, getting us chocolate shake at the mall. Oh, that's what I think about sometimes. My mom dragging me to the mall when I was a young kid. And she's like, let me at least go to Macy's and get a pair of shoes and I'll treat you to a chocolate shake. Hell yeah, Mom. Hell yeah. We had fun in small ways, but there's a lot of talk. And I think naturally, because again, I work with so many types of traditional families and immigrant families, we carry this ideology of, I want to give my child more than what I had. Which is fine, which is valid. I want to give them more. I want to give them more money. I want to give them more opportunity. I want to give them more chances, but you can't overwhelm them either. You can't overwhelm them. When young kids have questions about money, about career, about jobs, about expectations, don't shit on your job as an adult. We can highlight the whole become a doctor, become a lawyer, become this, become that, shoot for the stars, but There was a point where my own dad even said, "Why don't you just give up being a therapist if it's stressing you out so much?" And I got so angry because I was so stressed. I had a horrible time in my master's program. I was fighting over things. A freaking pandemic started. Everything was a mess because I have bad timing outside of my control. But it's not that my dad didn't believe in me, but there was a point where my dad has his own limitation with how much stress he wants to put up with in his life, in his career, which is a valid feeling. All the silly jobs I did, whether I was a nanny, whether I worked at the library, whether I worked weddings, I was a house cleaner, I worked in marketing, I've been a full-time student, I'm a yoga instructor, I've taught people from the age of 2 to 85, maybe 89. I think people are lying to me about their age, or maybe they forgot. There are highs and lows to this. There are highs and lows, and when the stress got too much, it wasn't worth it. Take that for what you will. Because being mindful of my own privacy, stress can be anything. People, finances, commuting. These are valid reasons, but these are things that you're going to experience in jobs no matter what. I call it the group project experience for my young adults. Every time they have a group project and they complain about that one kid in their class, they're like, "Oh, I just hate working with them." I'm like, girly pop, my friend. Teeny beans. You're going to meet that person again with a different face. Because that's what happens in jobs. In jobs, you have to learn about what you like, what you're willing to tolerate, what you want to do on top of learning what you like to do, what you're good at doing, and what you don't like to do, and what you're just not good at. And that's okay. We don't talk about failure enough. It's okay to fail. It's okay not to be good at something. It's okay to say that you don't want to do something. Never push your sense of comfortability for someone else's benefit. Different to take a step outside of your comfort zone. Not okay to risk your safety or make yourself uncomfortable at all. With that being said, I've done plenty of jobs that people are just not going to do. I talk about wedding work all the time. That was probably my most hardworking job. I loved it. I loved the manual labor. I loved the hustle. I loved the experience. I learned so much from people skills, stress regulation. Ooh, just even how to talk. My aunt would make me rehearse my lines in front of a mirror before I started because you have to talk. You can't be shy. You can't be scared. You can't be nervous in this type of career. When you're in business and you have to hustle, you better put yourself out there. You better be a good people person. You better be on your toes. You better problem solve, because that's what is going on. So I've built this type of strength when it comes to talking to people. I've incorporated this into my therapy when I work with couples. I do premarital counseling as well. I talk about finances, planning, and preparing. It's not a waste to have a job and leave it and do something new or go in different directions. It's important to highlight, what did I get out of this job? What did I learn? And can I apply it into something new? I worked for a marketing company for, I think, a year. All I did was typesetting for the most part. Typesetting, printing, graphics. It wasn't hard work. But over time, you pick up on the skills of when things are being posted, how things are being shared, and the psychology behind how we advertise. I incorporate that into my yoga work, in my therapy work, in my social media presence. Am I going to work in marketing anytime soon? No, but I need to know at least some basics to help with my present day career. I'm aware that these are very big, career impacting skills, but even from a small perspective, being a nanny, a camp counselor, you're building the skills to work with young adults, to work with families, to work with kids, to organize. How can you incorporate that skill in different ways? if you don't like working with kids, you learned a great lesson, and how are you going to go in a different direction? My friends, there are jobs everywhere. There's something to do anywhere. I know for me personally, a job I wouldn't do just because I'm intimidated by it is waitressing. I give so much credit to waitresses and waiters and people in the food industry. But I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by people. I'm overwhelmed by too many people around me. I'm overwhelmed by food. It's just not for me. But some people highlight it as a strength. I have friends constantly tell me how much they loved being in the food industry and how they just enjoyed the community and the environment and the people. They want that space. Even as you get older, those wants change. My present moment, I work full-time as a marriage and family therapist, and I contract myself out for yoga. Even though I like working full-time as a therapist, being in either of those jobs, I told this to a client a few days ago, it's lonely. I'll interact with you when we're in the session, when I'm teaching a class, but once everyone goes home, I'm by myself. I don't love it and I don't hate it, but I've grown to feel more comfortable in it where I don't think I'd lose it 100%. Does that mean I'm going to be by myself working alone? Probably not, because I need some sort of interactions. If I get lost with my silly thoughts too long, we're going to have a longer season than what we expected, but still. I miss having coworkers and sharing the same office. I like working in independence, but still having community in a way. Can I have that? Of course. I tell people all the time, if you can't have what you want in a job, find it in a different way. I may not have a community space in my job, so I find community spaces in my volunteer work, in my gym, in my yoga. I purposely show up to yoga classes 15 minutes early just to communicate with people, to converse, to connect. One, to put my name out there, but two, to interact with the community. If you want to make friends, you got to put yourself out there. Say hi. If you're still an adult who's scared of making friends, my guys, my babies, my little beans, go say hi. Go say hi. Make some friends. Again, within your comfort zone. Step outside. Don't run out of it. Don't completely remove all your boundaries, but you have to start making what you want. It's not going to be handed to you. Your parents aren't going to do it for you. You have to do it in your control. Jobs, careers play a big part because we do these things every day. And every day is a lot of time to be spending with yourself, with other people. Be mindful of your time and how you want to spend it. Again, within your control. When people talk about self-worth and that dollar sign, I don't want to crunch numbers with you. I kind of just sit with the reality of things. I've been in business sides of my jobs for almost a decade. I've worked all over New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. I've learned the demographics. There's science and research behind this. You have to learn where you need to go, who requires this, who can pay for this, what people are demanding. Because that's how you tailor yourself to fit into this world. And you have to prepare to be flexible. The world is changing a lot faster than what we expected, and it's hard to keep up sometimes. I almost see it a luxury when you can have a job for over 5 years. And maybe I'm shooting low, but my dad worked as a computer programmer for, I don't know, 30, if not more years. I think he only changed his job once in my lifetime. And then he returned back. Because things changed and it was outside of his control. But I see that as a luxury. He got to have the same job and the same routine and work within his boundaries in his office. And even when the pandemic rolled in, he chose to work from home and he had that ability. Things definitely changed years ago, but still tried their best to find a way to run because we still have to work and there's still things that have to be done. We still depend on each other. As silly as that is, I know most of you depend on your Dunkin' Donuts barista the same way you depend on your doctor. And I validate that feeling for you. Because these people keep the world going. Each person that you interact with plays a part in your day, as minimal as it is or as impactful as it is. They're important. Give credit to the jobs that play a part in your life. Give credit to yourself for the job that you do, but don't get greedy. I think that's where I'm mentally at in my silly thought is there's a lot of greed and there's a lot of demand and there's a lot of want. And my silly thought, I don't know if I applaud people who have this type of personality because I don't have that type of chutzpah. But I guess I'm just practical and I live within my means because I work for what I have. I don't sit and demand. Again, that can be applied to certain things, but I'm just talking about what your money can pay for in terms of luxuries, in terms of food, in terms of practicality. And I'm not talking about, again, things outside of our control. But there's a lot of people who love to tell me, oh my God, Rachel, this is so expensive. Oh my God, Rachel, it's so much. Oh my God, can you believe? Well, then why did you spend that much? If you're so shocked, why aren't you making adjustments? Why are you maintaining what you don't like? Because there was a point where I didn't have any fun money. That's what I call it when I budget. From January on, my tax season kicked my ass. There was no time to play. We didn't go out to eat as much anymore. We didn't spend money the way we liked to or way we wanted to. It's budgeting. And as sad as that sounds to parent myself, honey, you still got to eat. Maybe I was a little rough with myself because I said, you can have fun when bills are paid and things are taken care of. There's going to be an end to this. But right now, there's no fun because it just priority. You have to pay X, Y, and Z. You have to have X, Y, and Z amount. You have to have food. You have to have your bills paid. You have to have your car. You have to have your internet. You have to have your heat. AC. These are my priorities. And I'm very excited and very happy and very blessed. And hardworking for what I have. Is there a point I think I can always do more? Sure. I work in a family business and I have Hispanic family. We work to have. I didn't grow up with a sense of we work to enjoy, unfortunately. Call it the American mindset, call it the immigrant mindset, call it the American dream. But a lot of you guys are sleepwalking. And a lot of you guys need to really understand what your dream is. What are you good at? What do you like to do? And if you're choosing to have a career outside of what your parents know, because neither of my parents knew how to prepare for a therapist career, neither of them had connections or resources, I had to do this on my own. Because it's what I wanted. I think my dad wanted me to go into chemistry or computer science like him, but I can't sit at a desk by myself. This podcast would have started years ago, or who knows. I can't be locked inside for too long. I'll go crazy. And I followed a lot of the footpaths of my mom. My mom worked a lot of odd jobs because her path was stay-at-home mom until my younger brother was at an age she felt comfortable enough and she had the time to pursue part-time jobs. We talk about There was a company in my town where it has samples. It's a testing facility for shampoos and snacks and laundry detergent. And it's just that I knew they targeted the stay-at-home mom as their demographic. These are women who can cut out 2-3 hours of their day to try an item and rate it. That's your study group. And they would get paid. Young kids would do this. I think I tried yogurt and I tried gum at some point, and my mom got me into that. Because why not? Over time, she's worked clerical at different doctor's offices that she's introduced me to. She's worked in schools over time with children, which she's exposed me to. My parents have influenced what I've done, but I don't want to work in schools. It's just not for me. I don't want to be behind a desk all day. It's just not for me. I didn't want to do weddings anymore. Because a bitch is tired. That was so exhausting, and my family is still doing it, and they're amazing at what they do, and their days I wish I could go back all the time, and I know I can if I want to. There is never a weekend where my aunt isn't like, you want to work? You want a little extra cash? You need a job this weekend? I know I can depend on her, and that is a privilege in itself, but I want something else, and that's okay. And that's what's respected too by my family, which took time because I think, my silly thought, family, adults, they worry about us because they've been in this spot too. We all come to this spot where we just think about what can we do? How can we provide? How can we be independent? How can we make a family? XYZ. We all want similar things, and that's the simple side of life. My silly thought. But if you want something a little bit more than what your parents know, or what your environment knows, or what you know, take initiative to learn. I feel like lately I've been sitting back with, what do people do for a living? Just because I work with young adults in college and we talk about the classes they're taking, what it can be applied to, and what opportunities are out there. And my God, I'm learning about a whole bunch of new things, from jobs to resources to just what kind of pathways there are for different people. That's what's so exciting about being a therapist in itself. Everybody, again, we started this podcast with this idea. Everyone has a story, everyone has a path, everyone has choices. And while some are similar, there's plenty that are different just because of a certain choice or decision or resource. It's both exciting and naturally we compare. But if there's something you want, what can you do to get there? Don't compare yourself to other people's story. But if others inspire you, I think that's the word I want to use. If others inspire you to have what they already possess, get after it your way. Don't take other people down. I think that's just my word of business. Because there's plenty of people who inspire me. From yoga instructors to therapists to authors to even the people at Costco decorating cakes. I love watching the baking section of Costco. There are people doing amazing things, and I love seeing my friends do amazing things in their career, in their jobs, in whatever silly little ways they are, to very impactful ways. But we're all doing something. My friends, I hope I can end this podcast just with a reflecting question. Think about your strengths. Think about what you like. Think about what you're willing to do. Explore job ideas. Try something if you want to. Never feel like you have to be stuck in something that doesn't bring you fulfillment. Stress is going to happen no matter what. Is the stress worth it? We'll find out. Because I still got to retake my test. And as much as I can sit here stressed out, my stress is worth the outcome. The goal is to be fully licensed. The goal is to continue to grow in my therapy career, in my yoga career. My goal is to have my silly podcast to learn and grow with you as my listeners. My friends, take on the world as best as you can. Step outside of your comfort zone. Don't push it to your limit. Best of luck on the job hunts this season. Or maybe you're just taking some time for yourself this summer. I think that's enough of me babbling for today, but I wish you all a great rest of the day, week, and weekend to come. My friends, this is another episode of Silly Girls, Silly Thoughts. I'm your host, Mindful Body with Rachel B. Goodbye, my friends.